Welcome to Lesson 3. In Lesson 3, we have 3 new songs. One is Ode to Joy by Beethoven. The next one is London Bridge. And the third one is Largo from the New World Symphony by Dvorak. In this video, we're going to cover the foundations. As you get familiar with them, you can do your foundations in about 4, maybe 5 minutes. It's very important to spend just that little bit of time because it'll make playing those songs so much easier. So the new thing today for our foundations is we need to be able to move the hand to a different position. And on the piano, you generally do that in 2 ways. You leap. In other words, your hand just goes up. And another way you do that is by sliding the thumb under, right? Or sliding the finger over. And so this is where it becomes fairly important how you, see if I can get that there. So basically, you want a nice straight line down the forearm and then a curve in the fingers with enough space so the thumb can come underneath it. Okay? And if you're sitting fairly upright at the piano and the piano is about at the level where your elbows are, that's going to be fine. Some people, they hang off the piano or they have the wrist bent. Over time, you're going to want to learn to sit at the piano so that the wrist is straight, and that allows the most freedom of movement because as you advance, you're going to move up and down the keys, and you want to be able to know where you are. Okay? So basically what we do is with the right hand, we play through 3 notes, bring the thumb under, use up the fingers. And then on the way down, we use up all the fingers. We cross with 3, and that gives us just enough to end with 1 at the bottom. Left hand, we start with the pinky, go through all the fingers, cross with 3, which brings us to the thumb at the top, and on the way down, play the thumb after the 3. Okay? Now, if you've never done this before, it's a really good idea to do it individually until you're very comfortable, and then bring the hands together because the fingers, they change at different times. Okay? So our scale stays the same. We do 1 note per measure, which is 1 every 4 beats, then like half notes every other beat, and then like quarter notes on every beat. All right? So you can play with me. I'll count us in, and then we'll be on our way. So 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's our scale. Now, a couple things I did a little bit differently. I held the notes down for the half notes. Did you notice that? So that I made them long. And I started to do something they call legato. legato playing on the piano is very much like what you do when you walk. Right? When you walk, one foot is always on the ground, and as the next foot hits, the other one lifts. So on the piano, the way you do that, you keep the finger down, and then when the next note is down, the one before it comes up. So they connect. So basically you have this key is down, this one goes down, and then the other one comes up. So the bottom of the notes are touching. It's one of the reasons why having a piano that has a weighted action becomes important, because your fingers need to be able to feel that slight resistance in order to make that legato work. And it also allows you to release and let go. A piano that has no weighted keys, very often you end up pounding, and it's very difficult to develop the right technique. So as you get more serious about your piano playing, you want to look into a keyboard or a acoustic piano, because with weighted keys. Regular pianos are all weighted, but it's the electronic ones. And as you see, I'm playing on an electronic piano. They make some really nice ones, but that's something to keep in mind down the road. If you really start to love your piano playing, you'll want to get a weighted action keyboard. Okay, so the other thing that happened, I started saying the T instead of two. Sometimes the notes change, and it's not always on the second beat of the measure, right? So the rhythm and the time signature, the beats have numbers, and very often people will teach that way. I kind of shy away from it because you have finger numbers, and then you have rhythm numbers, and you have chord numbers in some places, and you just get a lot of numbers running around. So the T is a way of placing a second beat between, and it doesn't matter where it is, right? So when we go today to two of the songs, the left hand is going to do something kind of fancy. It sounds like. So if you put a T in that half note, you can measure the long notes. And where it also plays in today is when we're going to do dotted rhythms. So a dotted rhythm, again, if you're fairly new, you can download this music if you want, so you can see it. But in our echo game, what I do is I play straight quarters, and then the dotted figure, so putting the T where that beat is helps you know that you're going to hold that note out longer. Okay, so dotted rhythms very common in music. It's something that you pick up by feel very often in the beginning. Some teachers will like count it all out, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which is totally legit, right? But an instinctive player is going to get a feel for how that goes, and then they're going to sort out the beats after that. And my sort of middle ground is to put the T in, so you're sure to hold that long enough and you get a feel for holding it. And you do it a couple dozen times, and then, oh, okay, I know how that goes. And you'll get a sense of when you're rushing ahead and when you aren't. If you play the duet part, you'll have lots of practice. And then in the song, I actually put a note of the left hand in that space, so you sort of hardwire it in. And once you know it as if you're talking, then you can go back and figure out how to spell the thing and dissect it. For a lot of students, it's a very effective way of learning to do dotted rhythms. And if it's frustrating for you, you can find people who count it out, and I can do that for you, in the live lesson if you want me to. For our lessons here, I'm going to, cross my fingers and give you the shortcut. All right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do our echo. So I play a measure, and then you play back to me like an echo in the space, which is hopefully exactly the number of beats that you would need to fill it in, okay? 1, 2, I play. There we are. All right, as we did with the others, I'm going to do the do, re, mi, the solfege. The way this works is I play the notes and then I sing the solfege. So you can sing the solfege with me out loud, or you can sing it in your head if you like. All right, off we go. Mi, re, re. Mi, re, re. Re, do, do. Re, do, do. Mi, son, sol. Mi, son, sol. Mi, re, do. Mi, re, do. Sol, la, sol. Sol, la, sol. La, do, do. La, do, do. Okay? All right. Let's go on to the jam. So in the jam, that's the word that jazz musicians and even folk musicians use when they get together to make up songs. And more often than not, especially beginning intermediate players, the chords are set ahead of time. The chords are come from a song. And in our jam, we're making up the music, but we're not going to use chords, so you don't have to worry about it, right? And because you're making it up, there's really no wrong answer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give the beginning place, and then the intention is that you maybe choose one a day, and then you just keep making it up after, right? So let me show you that just once. I'll do the making up after, and then I'll just use the others. I'll give you the example and then let you run with it later, okay? All right. So I'm going to take that first one, which is the first three measures, and it's a rhythm that is on each scale note, and I'll keep going on the scale note, and then I'll start to mix it up, okay? Yeah. So I did the pattern for a while, and then I got off the pattern, and then I started just going all over the place. So when you jam, one thing that happens is you start to get used to the notes that you're going to use in the songs, and you can think of the songs that are written out like a jam where somebody decided exactly what was going to happen, and it was going to happen exactly the same way each time, and they wrote it out. You can start any song by just starting to play, and I want to encourage you to do just a little bit of that. So you run through your scale, a couple minutes. You do maybe half a dozen of the echoes, and you can start to make up the echoes as well, right? And then you go to the jam, and it's like taking an echo and you just extend it out. Instead of repeating it, you just keep going. Right? So they kind of form this thread. The words that you're going to talk with, talk in little phrases, talk in sentences and paragraphs, and then we go to some place and it's like somebody wrote a play, and now you have lines to memorize and say the same way. So it kind of builds that way. And it's a wonderful foundation, because when you get to the song, if you've played many, many different combinations and your ear is used to hearing those notes, and you're used to singing the solfege and the do re mi stuff, it gives you a leg up on playing the songs. So I encourage you to take that 3 to 4 minutes and just touch on the scale, the echo, and the jam, because it will serve you very well as the songs get harder and more complicated. You'll have a much stronger foundation. Okay? All right. So let me do the other jams. The second one, those last 3 measures on the top line, it's the same rhythm. It's coming down through the scale. Okay? And in the second line, the first 3 measures, that's the rhythm, very common rhythm. Some famous music uses it. Okay? And the second 3 measures there on the second line, the fancy stuff's in the left hand. And here the thumb always plays. All right? And you have to use that technique in one of the songs. So if you fool around and make it up, then when you get to the song, your fingers have done it before, right? So you're not both trying to do something new and play what somebody else wrote. All right, so that's kind of the power of that. All right, so let's go right on to the song Cipher. It's the third line. And the idea here is you have the left hand is doing that extension, which is in lesson 2. So I did a couple new things here. Half notes, and twice as fast. Right? And then we added a little simple thing with the right hand. It's a way of advancing you forward. So you have this idea from lesson 2. We make it a little fancier. We add the right hand so you can get used to having the hands play together. All right. So that's a kind of a new thing, and that's why it's in the song Cipher. The cipher is like a key, the bits you need to figure something out. That's what a cipher is. And so the next one is that thing with the T. Okay, and another new thing, you hold the bottom note and then play the top note. Okay, so we're starting to put the fingers together in one hand. All right? Now, on the bottom line, the first thing, it's kind of a weird fingering. There's a thumb on the C and then it jumps up, and literally your hand is jumping up. So gauging that distance, we want to teach the muscles how far that is and practice going from one note to a brand new position. And this half note, quarter note, 2 beats to 1 beat, where you're going exactly twice as fast, that has a way of locking in the muscle memory. So you remember how far it is. It happens like 4 times as fast. So it's this little bit that you'll do many, many times when you're going from, let's say, in this case, you're going from C position to F position and have the 3rd finger. Okay? That happens in the Largo. So we do 1, 2, ready, go. Right? And for a lot of people, it may not work so great on the first day, but the 3rd or the 4th day, where you spend just a little bit of time, the muscles start to remember. You build those things in your muscle memory and in your mind, and it starts to stack up on itself. And you get used to figuring out those tricky bits in the same way. And one of the powers of having this 12-lesson course and these 36 songs, I can show you these things and you'll see them 4 times, 5 times over many different songs. And usually it takes 3 to 6 songs before a new idea is really locked in. And one of the reasons I was inspired to do this whole course, I found that in lots of different methods of learning, they'll show it to you once and then you don't see it again. And how do you ever get your legs underneath you, right? So you'll see me saying some of these same things in more advanced ways, but essentially the same idea. And if you track through the songs, you'll have a chance to, learn how to move from one position to another, learn how to do the thumb under. It'll make sense because you've seen it more than once. So anyway, that's the story on that. The next one is where the left hand plays the note and then the dotted rhythm comes. I'll do this super slow. 1, 2, ready, go. Sometimes saying it with your voice can help. So sometimes I help students, like I go together, left, right, right, left. Together, left, right, right, to left. And I know that's not in time, but then when you get that worked out, so you get this and then this and then this, okay? And then you go together, left, right, right, left, together, left, right, right. And some teachers will say, okay, well, do the counting. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And that's quite all right. You can do the counting if that helps you. Do consider this. Left hand is doing one independent thing. Right hand is doing another independent thing. If you have to count the rhythm, that's a third thing you're doing at the same time. And so how many things can you do at the same time? So that's why I kind of stay away from the counting of the rhythm numbers in the beginning. Eventually you can do it all day long and Sunday, it's no big deal. But in the beginning, you're trying to work stuff out. So do what works for you. Do what works for you. Hopefully that'll help you a little bit. Okay. And the last one there. So you're changing hand position. And you're using the half note. And the other hand adds. Okay. And you'll run into something similar to that in the Largo. I hope you find that helpful. And next, we're going to jump into Ode to Joy. Ode to Joy is a pretty short song. London Bridge uses the same idea in the left hand, so you get to do that syncopation feel. And then Largo is a little bit longer piece. It's one of my favorite pieces. I played it as a violinist in a symphony. Beautiful melodies, and it's kind of fun to be able to do on piano as well. Thank you for joining me.